Hey guys, in this week's podcast, we are sharing our friends Justin and Lauren with you. They have started their very own photography business. They are fellow Air Force turned entrepreneurship friends of ours. So we're super excited to show you guys what we talked about.
They're just great people. Jennie met them. We'll talk about it in the podcast, but Jennie met them at Air Force Survival School, and we've just made quick friends with each other ever since. So yeah, we're excited to share another couple of awesome couple running a business with you. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Let's Quit podcast.
Quitting is not always a bad thing.
If you have the right mindset, quitting can be the most powerful tool you have on your journey to success. It's certainly been helpful for us.
Whether it's flying through hurricanes, building our businesses, or just trying to get to bed on time, we're always trying to level up and improve our lives.
This is the show where we share the lessons, experiences, and friends that have helped us live this incredible life. So let's quit the bad and grow the good together. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
How are you guys?
Good.
It is so nice to see you guys. So thanks for joining us.
Do
Do you remember how we met?
it's pretty vivid, long, draining memory. We met at SEER, or for those out there who don't know what that is, it's Survival School for the Air Force.
Yes.
In Washington, we were on the same team, and it was a very long and awesome but miserable experience.
Yeah, it was like the most fun that you never want to have again. Unless
Yeah.
you're weird, like I would totally do the camping part all over
Yes.
again. I don't know about you.
Yes.
I do the whole thing.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I'd go back tomorrow. I'd do the whole thing over.
Yeah. Sounds crazy. But yes. So some of you have heard us talk on our podcast before about our experiences at Survival School. That is how Justin and I met. We were in like the same little group for the whole time. And then I found out that him and his wife had a photography business. And I was like, what? Like fellow Air Force people? That's so cool. But yeah, so I think the thing I remember about meeting you guys first is like you tried to bring a camera to the camping part.
Yeah.
And all the instructors are like, it's gonna break.
Yeah, I brought a film camera, a little Nikon film camera from like the 80s, and didn't know if I was going to be allowed to do it, but let's just do it. And I brought it, and I remember our team lead, our instructor, was a little hesitant at first. He's like, "Man, I don't know in this element. In the middle of February, this thing could die any second." And I was like, "Hey, I accept the responsibility. I really want the opportunity to capture some photos, so let's do it." And he let me do it, and I think I got some really good imagery. Yeah. So it was awesome.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. He did. The camera did not break.
It
It
did
lasted
not
the whole
break.
time. And the pictures were beautiful. So.
Yeah.
And they're filmed, so I feel like they have like extra character
Yes.
to them.
Yeah.
Yes. They have like that vintage look to them, which was so perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that and it actually takes photography skill to pull off film, because nowadays, not to discredit anybody that uses a digital camera, but it's a whole different
Because
skill
we use a
set.
digital camera.
Right. But it's a whole different skill set when you're doing film, because you actually have to know everything about what you're doing. You can't forget something. Otherwise, your photo's not going to work.
There's no reviewing your work in that moment. It really is trusting yourself and knowing the craft and waiting until, whether it's a week later or a month later, to develop that film to see if you captured something amazing or not. So
Yeah.
it's a different experience.
Sure. So we've spoiled it a little bit by using words like photography and camera, but can you explain to our listeners who you guys are, where you've been, where you are now, and like where you're going?
Yeah. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So we run a business called Justin and Lauren Photography. We're not, I would say like we're partly self-taught, but we're also Air Force photographers. So about 5-6 years ago now, we joined the Air Force as photojournalists. And that's kind of how we got started in photography. And we've kind of been all over the United States, all over the world. Most recently, we were in the Middle East. We just got back from a deployment not long ago. So yeah, and like 3 years into our military time, we like went to Justin's sister's wedding and watched her wedding photographer kind of like do her thing. And we'd always like tossed around the idea of maybe like doing our own business. And so we watched her do it, and we were like, like we can really do this. And we kind of were just like, we either do it now or we never talk about it again. And so we kind of just jumped right in. Yeah. Had no idea how to run a business, like no idea how to do any of that kind of stuff. And we just kind of like jumped in and have really just like taught ourselves as we've gone. And yeah, now we're about 3 years in, moved to Charleston with the Air Force. We're still in the Air Force as combat photojournalists, but some of that will be changing here pretty soon. And yeah, we're still doing weddings. We work with some small businesses doing branding, but mainly couples, and we love it. So that's kind of all about us in short.
Cliff note version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you both always been into photography, or was it something that you picked up just from your job, or?
Yeah. So my background, I went to school for journalism. So I've always been in like the media, kind of like, I feel like creative, like writing kind of side of things, but never got into photography until I joined the Air Force. And now I love that more than I love writing or really anything else. So yeah, it was kind of just fell into it, got really lucky.
Similar story. I mean, just signed up and the Air Force said, here you go, you're gonna be a photographer. And I looked at them with those wide eyes, like, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but luckily enough, I fell in love with photography, and, and I'd say Lauren has too. Yeah. We have this deep passion for it that extends to our personal life and with our business and whatnot. So it's been a wild ride.
Wild ride.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So how do you guys see yourselves pursuing this in the future? Like where do you want to be? I don't know, 5 years, 10 years from now, however far you feel comfortable making a guess.
Yeah.
Question. That's an awesome question.
We can talk about this for a while.
We're dreamers really at heart. So we'll sit down sometimes and just allow our imagination.
If money wasn't a thing.
If everything could just go right, where do we see ourselves? So we have this conversation all the time. I mean, ideally, I think no matter where we move or how the business actually runs, how expansive it gets, we want to do weddings. We want to be doing that for, 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
As long as we can stand for 10 hours on our feet.
Yes. Until I have to have a walker, I think I'm going to want to shoot weddings. And we have such a love for it. I mean,
it's just like one of the happiest days of people's lives. And so like to just get to be there for that is, there's just like not a lot of experiences like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we love it. So doing that full time is kind of where I'm headed. Justin, I think, might stay in the Air Force for a little bit longer, just to give us more of like a smooth transition out.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you guys can kind of relate
to
a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. You got to do that gradual over.
Hoarding cash for a year and a half or so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So actually, like in April, I am leaving active duty to run our business full time.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yay! Congrats.
So that's like, I think probably like 5-year plan, but 10, 15 years down the road plan is we would love to buy some land and do like a wedding venue. So have
that would be cool.
You guys.
All-inclusive kind of wedding service type of thing.
Ideally, that'd be exactly what we're doing. Somewhere in Idaho.
Move out west.
Yeah.
So we're with a lot of land and space and
So that's it.
That's
For
great.
sure.
It's really overwhelming to us, like, and I'm sure you guys as well. Like when you start to follow the money, you really realize that how limitless your options really are. It's kind of unnerving, especially coming from like the military structure of your career will go this way. And then all of a sudden you stumble into entrepreneurship and it's like, I could really do whatever I wanted.
Yeah. Like the freedom you have to create your own structure.
That's like what's really attracted me to running my own business is like the military is great with like providing structure, but there's not a lot of like always flexibility within that. And so like, especially we're in a creative career field within the military and I'm constantly like wanting to like go rogue and like you can't. So yeah, that's why I love having our own business is because there's nobody to tell you that like, oh, I don't know about that. It's just like, well, if I decide to do something, like I can crash and burn, but I can still do it if I want to. So that's what I love.
That's awesome. So did you ever think like when you were younger going through college that you would ever like be an entrepreneur or start your own business? Was that ever anything that was like in the back of your mind?
No, I don't think so. Never a thought.
No, my dad was like an entrepreneur and had his own business at one point, but he did well, but it was always like a struggle. And so growing up, I like saw that. And so like I always like associated entrepreneurship and like having a business with like struggle. And so it was not ever something that I thought that I would want for myself. And just the older I've gotten, I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm just better off working for myself.
Yeah. It really becomes a question of like, what do you want to suffer with? Do you want to suffer with the limitations and the control of a business? Or do you really want to, like, is it worth it to you to struggle just a little bit up front, but then, you know, really feel fulfilled and do what you want on the back end?
Yeah,
totally agree with that.
I'm reading this book and I keep telling him about it. It's called
pick it up.
Essentialism. Hey, have you guys heard of it?
No.
Who's it by?
Greg McKeown.
Okay, we'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes too.
It was really good, and he has this quote that if you don't prioritize your life, somebody else will. And I love that. So.
Yes, that is so true. I feel like something like that has come out of our mouths very, very, very often. Because where there's control, people will want more control. So but I always think that's, you know, such an interesting and kind of sometimes a scary decision to say like, hey, I'm going to transition from this like full-time consistency to like running my own thing. Like, was that for you guys, was that kind of a long process of deciding that, hey, maybe we want to slowly transition? Or do you kind of know from the beginning, like, hey, this might become at least a part-time gig, if not a full-time?
I think it was almost immediate. I think when we started the business and we started working with couples and, you know, doing things for free, you know, because you're trying to grow that portfolio and whatnot. I think our passion and our love for it just grew day by day to the point where within the first couple of weeks of doing it, you know, we realized, you know, we wanted to do this full time one day, and what was the fastest route to get there. So we've been working at it ever since, and I think we're about there, at least for Lauren's side of it.
I think it's always of like, you always want to be a little bit further along than you are, especially like for me, like to go full time when I am like, you always wish that you were like a little bit more successful or like a little bit farther along, but it's like, if you don't just finally jump in, like, will you ever get there?
Right.
So,
for sure.
I was just like, you know what, this is probably a little bit too soon to do this, but if I don't do it now, then I never will. So, and then I'll never know if we could have made it a thing. So
it's never the right time to make any decision in life. I feel like. And as I've gotten older and we've hit different milestones in our lives, you know, you kind of realize whether it's getting married or, you know, leaving the Air Force or starting a business or whatnot, you're never truly ready for that step. You know, you just have to prepare yourself mentally and just do it. And you kind of just realize that as long as you have the work ethic and desire to get it done, you'll find your way. So.
Right. Exactly. I feel like we're right on the cusp of the title topic. I feel like we're almost there. So
I know every question I think of is going to spoil something.
I know. And I'm like, okay, I have another question, but I don't want to ruin it because we haven't introduced the topic. So let's just jump into it. So the topic you guys wanted to talk about was quit playing it safe, which we talked about earlier was like near and dear to our hearts as well. So we are super excited to hear other business owners like discuss this. So I guess to you guys, can you unpack what you mean by quit playing it safe?
I mean, you could really go down so many different avenues. I feel like it's such a loaded statement when you say it. You know, what can you mean, the meaning behind it? For us, it just means, you know, stop finding, and correct me if you have any other reasons behind it, but quit making excuses for why you can't do something. Quit finding reasons why it's impossible or it's not the right time or it won't work. You know, you're not popular enough on social media. No one's going to find you online because your SEO presence isn't there. You're not good enough at your craft. You just quit playing it safe. Take the step that's needed to be taken. And like I said earlier, have the work ethic to get it done. And you'll find your way. And I think that's just something that we've realized step by step, decision by decision, whether it was, you know, stop talking about doing photography or do it, to, you know, starting a website, to actually, you know, getting our business license, you know, making it legitimate, to just any other aspect of what we've done so far.
Yeah, for me, it really, like, I resonate with all of that 100%, but it also for me is like, and especially like this past year with COVID, is staying in the military active duty is like the safe play, right? Like, I'll never wonder if I'm going to have a paycheck. I'll never wonder, like, like, we'll never go without. We will pay our bills and we'll be fine. And it's just like, I might not ever be like fulfilled creatively, and I might not love what I'm doing 100%, but at least like I'll pay my bills. And I think I just got to the point where that wasn't enough. And so for me, it's just like, well, like, quit playing it safe. Like, take the chance on yourself. Like, know that what you have to offer is worth something, and that if you just jump in with both feet, like, you can make it happen. So,
and I think to really keep going with what you're saying is, playing it safe. You'll make it through life. You'll finish. You'll cross that finish line. But will you ever be fulfilled? Will you ever realize your dreams? Will you ever realize what's deep inside of you, your desires and your passions? If you keep playing it safe. So, and that's something that luckily for us, we realized pretty early on in our marriage and quickly. And honestly, I feel like when you have a partner that encourages you, and the other one, and we're both doing that for each other, there's no one in the relationship holding each other back, because neither of us want to play it safe anymore. So when you remove those chains from both of us, it just really opens up the possibilities.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of the play it safe personality. Like, I just like knowing what to expect. And so he's really pushed me in this last year to just be like, like, you're really good at running like the business side of things. And obviously, like, we know what we're doing with photography. Like once again, like, stop talking about it and let's just do it. So
yeah, I love that you address that. I mean, I don't want people to write you off, because all the time when I'm listening to these podcasts and hear reviews and stuff, everybody always throws a rock and says, well, you guys are just wired that way. You're built for that. But, I think that cheapens the entrepreneurial experience, because one of the things that you do as entrepreneurs is you find your own weaknesses and you dig straight into them. And I want people to hear that, like, you're the organized planning, like somebody who requires a high degree of certainty by default before you'll jump into anything, and how hard that was for you to develop your muscles of just quit playing it safe and that sort of thing. So you're not giving this lesson out of your like default brain wiring, if that makes any crazy sense. That's a learned behavior for you. And I feel like more people should recognize that fact and look for their own areas of weakness in their lives too.
Yeah, 100%. That is something that I've had to like sort of rewire my brain over the last year. And you can ask him. I've done like so much like reading and like self-improvement and like constantly like butting heads with him a little bit, and him having to like remind me of all of those things, because it's not my it's not my instinct.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think has been the biggest help to you in that area? Because I mean, that's like 80% of our audience are these people that need really high degrees of certainty. They're scared to take that first leap. I mean, we were that way too, but like we also weren't wired that way. But I'm really curious as to what you think worked best for you to put your reps in to practice that.
So a lot of like what I've been doing this past year is journaling. So whether like I don't want to say religious, but spiritual Christian. And so like, I'll just pick maybe like a Bible verse and focus on that and kind of journal my thoughts. And a lot of times what will come out of that is like some of my limiting beliefs and like things that I feel like are holding me back. And so then I can really latch onto those and address them and focus on them. And then other things, just a lot of reading. Like I have like looked up a lot of different business books. So like Essentialism is one of the books that I mentioned. So just people who are doing or living life in the way that I want to, and they've been successful at it, and kind of like, how can I, like, I guess I want to say mimic that, or take what they've learned and implement that for me. Yeah, those are like, I think, two of the main things that I've had to do.
Yeah, I feel like you've been working on that for the last couple of years. And I've seen a lot of progress in here too.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Justin, what's an area that you've had to quit playing it safe in? And
oh gosh, do you want to help me here? For some reason, I'm trying to. trying to think.
It's so hard to see your own flaws. Like, is there something in our brain that wires us to like not see our own problems?
She points them out pretty easily.
Yeah, exactly. So if somebody else does a great job of pointing them out, it's
I can say something.
We can say something, then if I agree, I'll feed off of it.
So there's like, we sort of have like defined roles within our business. Like there's tasks that I do and then tasks that he does.
Mm-hmm.
But as we like are growing more and have like more responsibilities and things to do, they're like, obviously our individual responsibilities grow, but I think you've gotten like comfortable in the tasks that you have. And so like, I've been trying to like push you to do more as far as like blogging or like whatnot and things like that. And so, but you're like kind of like I don't know, like if I'll be good at it or whatever.
Yeah, I guess if anything, to feed off what she's saying and push it forward, I have this innate fear in myself that, I always have to find myself trying to push through, is this belief that maybe I'm not good enough to do something, and that in my attempt in doing it, I'll fail and represent the business or the couple poorly. So it's more of a self-doubt that I have to not indulge in and quit playing it safe in our conversation, and just do the blog post or just start diving into parts of the business that I haven't really had my hands in, and because I know until I do that, I won't grow and I won't learn that task or that little section of the business that maybe she has a larger role in, and that she might need a little bit of help, depending what's going on in the day or the week.
Yeah.
What kind of tasks we have and whatnot. So,
I think just piggybacking off that, I feel like what an Air Force thing to say.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback is like ultimately I think it comes down to like this like getting over that fear of failure.
Yeah.
Quit playing it safe. You probably will screw it up. You probably won't do it right the first time, and just get over it.
It's such a pivotal moment when you can realize that the pain of doing it is less than the pain of regret if you don't do it.
Yeah.
So I think, some people never get to that point. Some people are just constantly scared, and the fear of failure is such a unsolvable problem to them that it's not worth the result if it works.
Yeah.
And until you flip that switch and understand that, you want the results of it more than you want the pain of going through it,
Right. And I almost think like once you do take that leap, and if it works, that's enough like motivation and fuel to like push you to do the next one. Like for us in our business, a lot of times when we do sales, we'll be scared to talk to people because we don't know if we're saying the exact right thing that they want to hear to, buy a kitchen table or something. But as soon as we go out on a limb and we conquer our fears of talking to people and worrying if we're going to say the right thing, and they respond really well, like, oh my gosh, like what was I so afraid of? That was so dumb. I should have just done that 3 months ago. And then we're just filled with so much joy. Like, do you guys ever have experiences where you've like taken that leap and then afterwards you're like just filled with happiness and motivation?
Or mad at yourself for waiting so long?
Yeah.
I think, as of recently, like, reaching out to the venues.
Yeah. There's been larger examples, whether it's hiring a company to make our website and run SEO. And that's not necessarily, playing it safe, trying to learn it, but it's spending your money. And it's getting over that hump of, do I want to spend thousands of dollars?
Letting go of that clutch of control of everything.
Yeah. And having someone else design a website and run SEO for you. And it was a long conversation, and we decided to do it. And when we started seeing the results of a beautiful website and then the actual increase in traffic to our website, and
literally having clients email us like quoting our branding and copy like off the website, and I was like, we should have done this from the start.
Yeah, and having them resonate with us as a brand because we decided to push through that fear and spend the money for that aspect of the business that you knew deep down inside you needed.
Yeah.
You need it, but it's just that fear of, can I let go of that money?
Yeah.
And when you see the results, it puts you on cloud nine, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
So
totally feel that too. Same exact thing.
Well, cool. So explain for the listener, what's something that's a safe behavior, if you can just go out on a limb and take a wild guess in the dark, what's something that the listener could do every single day to help practice to stop playing it safe? Is there a common practice that you guys see, or which is with people that you talk to and like you just hear the epitome of the negative mindset you're talking about getting rid of? Like, what can the average person do to quit playing it safe?
I think you have to do a lot of like internal work, right? Like you have to look at yourself in the mirror and admit to yourself and identify like the areas in your life that you're doing that. Because I think a lot of people are just like living day to day and they probably don't even realize where they're doing that in their own lives. So I think it's really like digging in and maybe journaling, maybe having an honest conversation and asking for feedback from like your trusted family or friends or whoever, and just being like, hey, like, you know, where am I like playing it safe or making like the safe choice versus like where do I have room to grow? So for me, I think it's just like asking that question and being okay with being maybe a little bit critical of yourself and identifying where you could be better.
Yeah. And to be honest, when it comes to where we're lacking individually, I do believe that every single person out there, deep down inside, you want to be successful. You want to be great. There's something inside of us as just human beings that yearns to be, the best that we can be. And I think you just know deep down inside, it's very intuitive. I'm lacking here. I'm playing it safe in this part of my life. And sometimes it takes asking someone that you love and trust to say that to you, and it's not in your own head. And I think that's where it clicks. That's where you can confirm what you already knew. So like she said, reach out to somebody and really just have that honest conversation with someone that you trust. And then on top of that, I really do feel like if you find someone in your industry or just in life that you look up to, someone who is successful, who doesn't play it safe, and you can lean on them for advice, or if they write a book, reading their book, or a podcast or a course, and just
invest in yourself.
Yes. Learning from someone who's done what you want to do, and then at the same time working on yourself, and you're attacking it on two different sides. I really do believe that you can conquer your fears and not play safe.
Yeah, I love that. When you're talking about like finding somebody else whose life that you want to have essentially or be like, we'd call that like casting your identity over the fence, and then you eventually follow over, the fence to become that person. But that's something we talk about a lot on our channel, is just finding those people to emulate. And if you can't find a physical person, like maybe not all of us have a Gary V in our next door that we can easily go talk to, like finding them on the internet, just because they're not there physically to talk to you doesn't mean that they're not still available to you.
Or even if you don't have anybody to look up to, just deciding for yourself, I'm going to be the type of person that does XYZ, and then matching that with your actions. You don't even need somebody to, it's going to take longer, but like, you don't even need somebody to triangulate off of it, even if you can't find them. But that's awesome, guys. Yeah. That's some great advice. I'm excited to like listen through this in the edit and go back over everything, because I know that I didn't absorb all the great wisdom that you guys shared with us today. So where can the listeners find more about you, follow you on social media, or book you for a wedding?
Yes, all of the above.
Where can people go to find out more about you?
Yeah, we're most active on Instagram, so you can follow us at Justin and Lauren. Pretty simple.
Yeah, there's no hiding where we're at there.
No.
And then our website, again, pretty simple. It's www.justinandlauren.co, just CO, and you'll find us.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. It's been an absolute blast to share our friends Justin and Lauren with you. Like I said, they're pretty easy to get along with, and we made fast friends. So,
like we said at the beginning, you guys are going to love them. They were so great. We were so thankful that they came and shared their business knowledge with us.
All right, so do we have any announcements?
Announcements. Other than if you could give us a review on this podcast, that would be wonderful. If a 5-star review would be much appreciated.
That's our preferred rating.
That's our preferred rating, if we may ask for such.
If you feel inclined to leave less than 5 stars, pretend we didn't have this conversation. But other than that, again, we are a listener-supported podcast on Patreon. So thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. We couldn't do this show without you. If you're considering supporting the show, great way to do that would be patreon.com/jennieanddavis and sign up for the tier that fits you best. We can't tease next week's title because we haven't thought that far ahead yet. So bear with us. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much.